Hello students, this is your course on content marketing. In this video on different types of content formats, we're going to talk about podcasts. So many of you may already be consuming this kind of content format and understand its importance as a knowledge and value adding content format, and you really become a loyal consumer for these brands that offer you podcasts as a service or as a resource. So for those who don't know what exactly it is and how it is different from any other kind of videos or webinars for that matter, podcasts are digital audio files, and now even video versions are used as webcasts, which are available for download and personal consumption by users. So this is the traditional definition. Nowadays, podcasts are specific to platforms. For instance, you could be an Apple user, and you could be a Spotify user, you could be a Ghana user, and on these particular platforms, you will find podcasts which you may or may not choose to download, but you can access anytime. So these are the type of content which are dependent on the narration or the voice or the audio type of information or content which is being offered by the brand. The content of a podcast is specific to a topic niche and is often created in an episodic format. So as a content marketer, what you can do is you can identify a broad topic niche or a content niche. Within that, identify 5, 10, 20, 80, how many ever you want episodes or short form content which you want to be discussed in, or which you want to be talked about in a podcast, and then create the same. So you convert that text content into a audio content or a video content. The idea here is that you are engaging your customers with sometimes the charisma of the narrator, sometimes the potency of the content itself. So content marketers use podcasts to engage customers regularly with serialized infotainment, and therefore the text is more personalized, more natural, has less jargons, less typical words, and they have more of a tone as if the speaker of the podcast is having a conversation with his or her listeners. And content marketers also invite industry experts and influencers to feature on company podcasts at times to further give more value and more weightage to their episodes or to their podcasts. And podcast listeners are loyal, affluent and educated audience usually, because these are people who are consuming content on the go most of the time. So you may have to sit and take a break to read something. Podcast is something which you can do parallelly while doing some other chore, some other activity, and therefore you need that kind of device, you need that kind of lifestyle wherein you find podcasts which are relevant to you and then listen to them loyally to gain the kind of value that you're looking for. So it is something that is currently being preferred by customers who are passionate about the brand, who are educated, informed, and therefore know whether a podcast is of value to them or not, and usually affluent because they can afford such services, platforms and devices which help them to consume podcast as a type of content. Then 80% of these customers, they listen to all or most of each podcast episode, which is a very high rate of consumption for any kind of content format with regularity. And they listen to an average of 7 shows per week, which means that customers can have varying tastes and preferences and can be subscribing to or downloading different categories of podcasts in a given week. Or if a company is publishing multiple podcasts in a week, these customers are likely to consume that content religiously. Then when you compare demographically, more men are inclined to consume podcasts than women. There's a 56-44% ratio. And monthly listening of podcast is on a rise, And the graph that you see here is that of US population, but it is very indicative of the global population also, wherein more and more customers are finding podcasts value adding kind of content for them. And therefore, as a content marketer, when you're planning video contents, when you're planning text content, you also have to plan podcasts as a feature in your content calendar. It is something that requires regularity, without which you cannot really engage your customers properly. So it has to feature consistently in your calendar. But since it requires special tools for recording, or special softwares or platforms for recording and distributing, it makes sense if you can if you give it a little lower priority and create other types of formats first, and then go on to build this as a strong customer engagement format for your content marketing strategy. So that's about podcasts. Next up, we'll talk about webinars as a type of content format. Until then, thank you.